Hi there. Welcome to the August 25th Public Forum presented by Orcas Recycling Services and the Exchange. I'm Pete Moe. I'm the Executive Director, and I'll be providing you with an after-the-fact voiceover to go along with this PowerPoint presentation for those of you who were unable to attend our meeting at the Orcas Fire Hall. It's the mission of Orcas Recycling Services and the Exchange to build a zero-waste community through service, education, and responsible stewardship of our waste/resource streams. There's no better way to do this than by rebuilding the Exchange Reuse Center. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we have lots to talk about today. We'll start out with some thanks, and then we will talk a little bit about the history of Orcas Recycling Services and the Exchange. And then we'll get right into where we are today with traffic revisions, which are currently underway, and then our plans for reuse and plans for a new Exchange reuse facility. We're deeply involved in the design of that building now, and so we'll share some design elements and considerations with you, as well as some drawings that we have and we're pretty excited about. And we'll wrap it up with our next steps, a timeline, an aspirational timeline, and we'll talk about the support that we're going to need from the community to get this done. And I will apologize right now for all the mouse clicks you're going to hear in this presentation. Our current board of directors include Tim Blanchard, who's our president, Larry Coddington, our vice president, Bruce Rylander, our treasurer, Kate Hansen, our secretary, Susan Malins, Michael Greenberg, and Mark Mayer, regular board members. And I, Pete Moe, am the executive director. We'd also like to take a second to thank 4 former board members without whose support we would certainly not be where we are today. Errol Speed, Wendy Shinstein, Jared Lovejoy, and Ian Woolworth. Thanks very much. We'd also like to thank some of our critical consultants. Ken Cates, project manager for the Exchange rebuilding project. Terrell Chang, who helped us design the roads and our master plan. David Cow, our design consultant. Tom Slocum, who developed our stormwater plan. Greg Braun, our local engineer. And Danielle Wheeler, who helps us with PR and marketing. Thanks to all of you. So a little history. Orcas Recycling Services was incorporated in 1985 by George Post and others as a corporate umbrella for the Exchange. The Exchange operated at the transfer station until it burned to the ground in February of 2013. The nonprofit Exchange, Orcas Recycling Services, took over operations of the Orcas transfer station from the county also in 2013, and we continue to run the garbage business there on the site. Also, since 2013, we've secured a 501c3 status, federal nonprofit status, and we've been keeping all kinds of money and decisions here in the county ever since we took over. And finally, we'd like to just highlight a few of the things we've accomplished since we took over. Besides taking over the transfer station site very successfully, we filed an extensive master plan with the county on time. We've been very successful in working with the county to get permits and approvals. We've improved the transfer station site both aesthetically and operationally. We're open more often and our prices are lower. So the public's been very happy with our operation of the site. We've done lots of events with other local nonprofits and have done whatever we can to get reusable materials into the hands of the public, even though the Exchange has been closed. We've introduced several recycling programs, including batteries and fluorescent lights and electronics recycling, and among others. We have the grading and road construction program underway. We're going to talk about that next. And we're very close to starting to rebuild the exchange reuse facility. As part of our contract with San Juan County to take over the transfer station, we were required to improve the traffic flow and the safety on site. And after a great deal of planning, that work has begun. Island Excavating, who also happens to be our next door neighbor, were the winning bidders in the competition for the job. They started in early August, and we expect them to be done in late October. Here's an aerial photo of the transfer station site, or the southern half of it. What you cannot see to the north is the capped landfill. Orcas Recycling Services does not use that portion of the property. In the black trapezoid is the old exchange site and will be the new exchange site as well. Also, that's where a good deal of the road construction is going on. Here's a relatively simple drawing of what the traffic pattern is going to be like when we're finished. You'll see that vehicles enter from the western gate on the bottom left and exit from the eastern gate on the bottom right. There's generally a circular pattern now that goes around the exchange site, which you can see there in orange or tan. And the booth where you pay is actually pretty much in the exact same location. However, the traffic flow around it will be a lot different. This is designed by Terrell Chang, our expert engineer, a guy who professionally does transfer station design. What it does is keeps cars off of Orcas Road. It allows queuing on site. The ingress and egress is safer. You don't go back out onto Orcas Road to go around to the payment booth any longer. It'll also help with our future plans for recycling. And there's lots more parking for the exchange. So we got our permits in early August and construction's underway. Island X got the contract as mentioned, and we expect to complete in October. We did get some financial support from San Juan County and from Orcas Island Community Foundation and donors. We are also funding a significant portion of this project. But what people really want to know is, when are we going to have a new exchange? So what have we been up to? Well, for the past 2 years, we've been working very hard to get to a new exchange, and that included cleaning up after the fire. A significant amount of material had to be removed from the site, as well as trees. Much of that was accomplished with volunteer help and as well as staff time. We did explore an off-site option for a new exchange. That didn't work out. We're back to our original home on the county property. We've also spent a lot of time on operating policies and procedures so that this new exchange will operate efficiently. And we more recently have just been working on building designs, and we're going to share some of those with you in a moment. There have been a lot of practical constraints to us getting a new exchange open as well. And our goal has always been to open as soon as it was reasonably possible. That's why we didn't open any temporary solutions in a hurry, because we didn't want to have to remove that later and then have to rebuild something a second time. We have to do everything by the book this time. It's not the old days where things just grow organically. Everything has to be permitted, engineered, and completely legitimate. We continue to have a water problem. There is no water on site, so we're trying to figure out where to get water. We also want to make sure that we get the policies and procedures right, and we want to make sure we design an effective, efficient building. Some other hurdles. We had to do a very elaborate engineered slab for the Exchange building because of its proximity to the landfill. The county was concerned about methane migrating from the capped landfill under our slab and potentially creating an explosive situation. So we have a very highly engineered foundation for the Exchange building. Prevailing wage is state law that we cannot get around. That's going to make this a much more expensive project than we had ever expected. But there's nothing we can do about that. County constraints, like I said, permits, engineering, everything has to be done totally by the book. There's no more leaving stuff out under the trees. No outdoor storage allowed. And while we've had excellent cooperation from the county, Public Works is the property owner, and therefore everything kind of has to get stamped 3 or 4 times before it's approved. So there's been a lot of that we've had to deal with as well. All that being said, we're getting really close now. So let's move on to the design of the new reuse facility. Here are some of the key elements we're looking at. Separation of functions. We're very clear that we want to keep intake and processing of materials very separate from the browsing, retail, checkout side of the business. We think this will give everybody a cleaner, fairer shot at everything that comes and goes. We want to keep the facility very flexible so it can handle a dynamic stock. We want it to be a safe and pleasant place to shop. We want a very effective and efficient sorting and testing and cleaning area, and we will have that, which will be non-public. And of course we want efficient utilities and ventilation so that the building operates at a low cost. Shortly after the old Exchange burned down, we had a series of public meetings in which we discussed concepts for a new Exchange. And out of those meetings came the big roof concept. And very, very simply speaking, that was as much covered space as you can get for the dollar. That principle then led to this drawing, but this drawing was actually kind of design driven by the trusses you see, which were at the time going to be donated to us. The compartmentalized lower part had all kinds of great possibilities to it, but the more we looked at this and as time went by, this design turned out to have some problems. As this design was driven by the size and shape of those trusses, it required a lot of posts, columns, and interior walls. And we decided that an open floor plan was going to work better. Also, as we moved down the road design process, we found the footprint that we had for the Exchange was changing, and that this was not the ideal shape of a building for the platform we were going to end up with. Another concept that came up was the shipping container and clear span roof concept, much like you see here. And while this might have been the most expedient route, and there were those who felt we should go this way as quickly as possible, the board determined that it did have problems as well. As impermanent, it would undoubtedly have to be removed later for some other more permanent structure. It would be difficult to build and arrange storage facilities, shelving and so forth within the long containers was difficult. And ultimately, this may have not have flown at all because it's very unclear that we could have had it engineered and permitted by the county. And again, it wasn't ideal for the footprint that we were going to discover that we had. So what do I mean by that building footprint? Well, let's take a look. So it turns out that when you build a road to state and county specifications, you're confronted with lots of restrictions and design requirements having to do with turning radiuses and weight loads and dimensions of parking spots and the number of parking spots and the number of trees planted in between parking spots, things like that. Once we had an engineered road, we saw that our footprint for the exchange building was quite a bit different than we expected. After looking at that for some time, we came up with this, the two-box concept, and that's where we are now. This will give us one large building on a concrete slab of about 60 by 80 feet, pretty big. That'd be the main exchange building, unheated. And then we'd have a small heated structure to the northeast there, the annex, which would have an office and bathrooms and potentially a meeting room / workshop. So here you can see our most recent plans based on the two-box concept. You can see where some of the walls are in the annex for the office and bathrooms. In the large building, you can see a dotted vertical line. That's a separation between the public and staff area. In the staff area on the right is where a lot of the sorting and cleaning and testing would go on before things moved out to the retail floor. To the north of that bigger building, you can see a gold line, and that outlines a covered but outdoor loading dock area where we also might store construction materials. So what kind of building should we put on this new footprint that we've discovered? Option 1 is your basic off-the-shelf metal building. Option 2 is your fabric or clear span structure. Or option 3, which is a kind of a hybrid pole barn metal building. And there's kind of an option 3.5, which is the pole barn metal clad structure with a shed roof. It is possible to do this in an all metal building as well, but right now we're kind of leaning towards this model here. And here you see that design played out in 3 dimensions. Very attractive, very efficient building. We're pretty excited about this. Here's another angle on that same terrific building design by David Cow. Thanks, David. So how do these different building styles stack up when you look at the dollars? Well, the off-the-shelf metal building estimate we have, and these are hard costs only, came in at about $408,000, $72 a square foot. The fabric clear span version, $387,000 or $69 a square foot. And the pole building with the shed roof and annex came in at $440, $78 a square foot. It's worth pointing out how inexpensive all of these are per square foot when you look at the cost of building on Orcas Island. The cheapest house I'm aware of being built here in the last several years was in the 200 to 250 a square foot range, so we're doing pretty well. So what are the next steps? Well, certainly we have to finalize our building design, and as a matter of fact, Since this presentation on August 25th, we have been made aware of another building manufacturer, metal building manufacturer, that we are currently in talks with. But we will get the design finalized very quickly, as well as finishing our engineering, and we will apply for our building permits very shortly. Once those are in, we'll know who our supplier is, and then we'll be talking to local contractors to see who's going to assemble the building for us. And hopefully we will start as soon as the road is done. Very shortly, in early October, we're going to launch a fundraising campaign, because we're going to need everybody's help to make this happen. So here's our aspirational timeline. We're confident we can have the road done by Halloween, and we hope to start the foundation immediately thereafter. Hopefully start putting up the building in December, early December, completing in February, in time to host an open house in the new building in mid-February, which would be the 3-year anniversary of the fire that destroyed the former exchange. And we're confident we can make this happen with your support. We need everybody's help. We got a lot of money to raise, and we're going to be fundraising, as I mentioned, on all levels. Large donors, small donors, online. We'll have a Kickstarter type campaign starting. We're going to have fundraising events, big and small, big dollar, small dollar. We're going to have a detailed strategy to introduce in the first week of October, and everybody's going to hear about it. We also need volunteers, from gardeners, artists, builders, fundraisers. We need lawyers and accountants and HR specialists. We need board members. You can sign up for any of these things or donate on our website. In fact, we have a great new page on our website. It's a volunteer sign-up page where you can fill out your information, and you can also check off the things you want to help with, gardening or artwork or sorting stuff that comes in. We can collect that information here on the website and then call you when we need your help. And of course, there's a page that allows you to donate at any level, any dollar level you want. We're also a big fan of small monthly donations. $5 a month equals a $60 a year donation. You barely notice it when it's automatic, comes right out of your checking account. You can donate at any level you want, also on our website. Thanks so much for participating in this online version of our August forum. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 360-376-4089 or write to us at info@exchangeorcas.org, and that is our website address, www.exchangeorcas.org. Please check out our website. It's a great website, lots of good information. Besides being able to volunteer and donate there, you can check out our Facebook page, our Twitter page, and sign up for our electronic newsletter. So thanks once again. We look forward to your continuing support and getting the new exchange open. Thanks a lot.